about yogurt made in a Miriams Earthen Cookware clay pot versus a Pyrex bowl. I'll start by talking about clay pots, and then I'll make some yogurt in both the clay pot and the Pyrex bowl. In the end, you'll know which I prefer and why. Clay pots have properties unlike any other type of cookware. I created a chart to explain this. This chart shows Miriam's clay pots as they relate to yogurt. Miriam's pots can be very different from other types of clay pots. Hers are made from pure primary clay, have no glaze, and no additives. So her pots are porous, and this allows oxygen to get to the yogurt bacteria. And the yogurt bacteria thrive with more oxygen, and ultimately the yogurt becomes more probiotic. It also allows water in the yogurt to evaporate. This condenses the yogurt, and people would say it gives it a better flavor. The pots are alkalizing. This creates a better environment for the yogurt bacteria, which in turn makes them healthier and stronger and the yogurt more probiotic. The alkalizing also makes the yogurt sweeter and not so sour, and many prefer this flavor. The pots are also as non-toxic as possible. Miriam carefully selects where the clay is from, lab tests the clay for common heavy metals, and uses no additives when making the pots. She would say that this makes the bacteria stronger and healthier and improves the flavor. As an aside, if you want to test your current cookware for toxicity, Miriam has a simple test on her website. On the last column on the right, I'm going to talk about freshness. People know that clay keeps food fresher longer, and this holds true for yogurt as well. I asked Miriam why it's so, and she said it's a combination of the various properties of clay. You can't talk about Miriam's pots without talking about Miriam and her company. I've talked with Miriam on the phone a few times, and her knowledge of clay pots is impressive and extensive. She applies this knowledge and puts much thought and care into her products. She has high standards and is not willing to compromise by using cheaper ingredients or easier additives. She has an informative website, which I've learned a lot from, and she has a very supportive customer support team. When I can't find the answer I'm looking for on the website, I can contact customer support, and they usually get back to me within 24 hours. Now that you've heard the unique benefits of Miriam's clay pots and how awesome her company is, are there any downsides? The one thing I can think of is initially clay has a bit of a learning curve. But once mastered, which doesn't take long, it's just as easy to make yogurt in clay versus the stainless Pyrex combination. I have 4 pieces of advice for you when using clay. First is to get the pot well seasoned. As it becomes more well seasoned, it becomes more non-stick. You do the seasoning process once when you first get the pot, and it takes about 15 minutes of hands-on time. Then, the more you use the pot, the more seasoned it becomes and non-stick it becomes. You'll notice it after a couple uses that it really is pretty non-stick. With cast iron cookware, you have to worry about rust. With clay, you can possibly get mold. However, it's usually not an issue if the pot is properly seasoned and it's stored correctly. And if you do get the mold, it just wipes right off, and then you heat the pot on the stove until the top rim is hot. Technically, if you're using the pot just for yogurt, you can skip the initial seasoning step, but I don't recommend it because it's easy and it just gets the pot off to a jump start with the seasoning process. Number 2 is to find the right scrubber. You need a dedicated scrubber for your clay pot because you don't want to use the scrubber you use at the sink with soap on your porous clay pot. These are some of the scrubbers I like. This is a fruit and veggie brush, this is a natural loofah, and this is just a dish brush. Miriam says that natural materials clean clay slightly better than synthetic, and I agree with her. But I just kind of like my fruit and veggie brush because it's so flexible for the cleaning process. I would say try a couple things and see what works good for you. Number 3 is when you're cleaning your pot after the yogurt making or eating, I recommend washing it with cold water first. The cold water gets dairy residue off better than warm or hot. And this is true with any kind of pot, but you really notice it with clay. Then after the dairy residue is off, you can go ahead and rinse in warm water. Number 4, for tough cleaning spots, Miriam recommends a paste of baking soda and water. You just apply that paste to the spot on the pot, let it sit for a couple minutes, and then it'll probably scrub right off. Now that I'm more familiar with clay pots, I hardly ever need the baking soda paste anymore. And the only time I need it is what I do is I heat my milk before I make yogurt, and if I forget to rinse my pot out with water before adding the milk for heating, then I get more residue and I have to use this paste to get it off. It's the fun part, the making and the tasting of the yogurt. So we're going to make it in the clay pot and the glass bowl. Welcome back. Today we'll be comparing the yogurts. It's now day 4. I've been eating out of both bowls all week, and let's take a look. This is the Pyrex. It's firm, but it's more runny. Here's the clay. It's definitely firmer, but you can see it's separated into a liquid part and a non-liquid part. The liquid part is the whey, and it's really nutritious. And it's a normal part of the yogurt life cycle. So when you take it out, I would get some of the solid and some of the whey. And if I didn't want to look at the whey, I would just mix it a little bit. And here is the Pyrex bowl yogurt. Now for tasting, I didn't feel comfortable doing the taste test because I could be subjective and I wanted to be more neutral. So what I did is I had some friends over this past week and they all tasted both yogurts, and it was fun because it was unanimous. They all liked the clay pot yogurt over the glass bowl yogurt, and it was a definite clay pot, not a maybe clay pot. And then I asked them the reasons why, and they said the clay pot was more flavorful and it had better texture and it was less sour. Finally, I remember when I was first thinking of getting a clay pot. I was having second thoughts. Do I really need another piece of kitchen equipment? I have no regrets. I love Miriam's clay pot. I love the taste of the yogurt in it. I love how it makes my yogurt more nutritious. And I love supporting a company like Miriam's. I encourage you to experiment with yogurt and clay pots. Have fun, and thanks for watching.